Welcome to the show. I'm Luke, and I'm thrilled to be joined again on the show by Justin Pippens. Justin, welcome to the show.
Yes, how you doing?
It's great to see you. I was thinking last time I had you on the show, it was in March. It was right before what was going to be your debut fight. And of course, it got canceled by COVID. But back then, we were only doing audio, so it's nice to have the video to go along with the audio this time.
Yeah.
Let's jump in there. You were going to make your MMA debut. We talked a lot about your football background, your sports background, that you played pro football, semi-pro football, and we were building up perfectly to it. And obviously, that card got canceled the day of the event because of COVID. So take me from that day. Weigh-in was no problem for you. Did you have to cut weight for weigh-in?
No, I didn't have to cut weight.
Okay, so weigh-in was no problem for you, and then you wake up Saturday of the fight and take me through that day for you on your side of things.
Oh yeah, so I wake up, I'm still thinking we about to fight, and then I get a text like, all right, there's gonna be no audience. I'm like, oh, here we go. So we still go to the gym, we're about to start warming up, and then I get another text like, the fights is off. And we're all just sitting there, everybody's just mad a little bit. People had to cut 30 pounds, 20 pounds, like it was just crazy. That was crazy.
That is one advantage of being a heavyweight. At least you weren't the people that are like, oh no, I lost all this weight for nothing.
Exactly.
But obviously now it's been even more time. Back in March, I remember thinking that we would probably be up and running maybe in May or June. I mean, that was the thought in March. Nobody ever thought that it would go from March all the way to November. I mean, it's just crazy. So for you though, you only started training at the time of your fight. In March, it was going to be about a year, right?
Yeah, it was going to be a year, yep.
It was right around a year. So, and Vera had gotten you into it, right? I remember.
Yes.
Yeah. So what's it like now, almost doubling your training experience, really, since COVID? So what's the last 8 months been like from a technique training point of view?
Oh, it's been good. I've still been doing the same thing, same little 3 gyms, the Academy, Mat Factory, and Stout. I still been going to the same exact little 3 gyms and just still been working at it. Like I still been getting better. I ain't really I took like, when it happened, I took like a month off maybe.
Sure.
Then I got right back at it.
Sure. Well, you just listed, I would say, and certainly I'm not trying to leave any gyms out, but you just listed the 3 kind of premier Pittsburgh-based MMA gyms. Right there, that list. Stout obviously has had the Wilkins brothers for years, and they're high-level MMA. Of course, needs no introduction. Kama Worthy, John DeJesus, his brother Chaka at the Academy. And then who are the main sort of known fighters through the Mat Factory? That's the one gym. I'm not quite sure who their like top fighters are.
Like it was like Dom Mazzata.
Okay.
Dempsey.
Oh, Dempsey, Chris Dempsey.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Now, given Chris, I know we talked about him last time, but given the fact that Chris was a 205 and I think at some points a heavyweight, what's it like been working with Chris, who has that UFC experience at a weight category similar to yours?
Yeah, it's been good. Now, he ain't up there. I don't think like no heavyweight or not there no more, but it's been good. It's been great. He definitely teach me a lot. He was teaching class today and learned a little bit today. Like, yeah, I've been working with him a lot too.
That's great. I mean, that's wonderful. I know the guys at the Academy tend to be a little smaller. That's why I was asking as far as your matchups go. But you know, that's always great. You're also one of the rare guys that clearly specializes in mixing up the gyms. I think most guys do it, but clearly you have been going to all 3 gyms, which is a great strategy to have. Now,
yeah, you got to mix it up.
Now, I know you've been a connoisseur of athletics. Obviously, you did football, and I think you did some other sports. So is that part of the mindset you brought in when you were starting MMA, that, hey, I'm gonna kind of become a student of this and get a lot of different inputs, as opposed to somebody who's like, I'll just pick sort of the 2 guys to teach me and go from there?
Yeah, it was. I want to know everything from jiu-jitsu to kickboxing to MMA to all that. So yeah, I went in there with that mindset to know every single thing. I ain't just go in there like, I'm gonna pick him, I'm gonna stay with him until I go all the way with no, I ain't doing all that.
Gotcha. Well, you're obviously making your debut, and it's interesting because you're debuting against the same opponent you would have had that you were still matched to in March, because obviously the MMA world's been on freeze.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some of the fights, always a shout out to Ryan Middleton, the owner of 247 Fighting Championships, who's just in the 3 shows that they were able to have before COVID, really did some incredible stuff, both with Kama going to the UFC after being a title holder, and also John DeJesus going to Bellator after being a title holder. So obviously 247 was up and running very well, but he doesn't get a lot of talk, but an absolutely great guy. The matchmaker for 247, Jim Mooney, I think really showing himself up well with doing 2 cards. You are the second card of the Thanksgiving card. You're the card after Thanksgiving on that Saturday. Did you care if you were before or after Thanksgiving, or did it make any difference to you at all?
No, I didn't care. I just was ready before Thanksgiving, after Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving. It didn't even matter. It didn't even matter.
Well, I've been asking this question to all the fighters, because everybody on the Saturday fight card has said that they didn't really love fighting on Saturday because of Thanksgiving, because obviously they're going to be in some pretty hard weight cuts for Saturday if they're a Saturday fighter. For you, are you changing your Thanksgiving plans at all, or are you going in like you always would on Thanksgiving?
I ain't got no weight cut, no nothing. I'm going in like it's regular Thanksgiving.
See, that's why in the fight world, and we'll let some people in that are listening to this, that might not know MMA or the fight world, but in the fight world, you've seen it on Tough. Sometimes when they've had like middleweights and heavyweights together in the house and things like that in Tough. Fighters that aren't heavyweights are always mad at heavyweights. They're always mad at heavyweights because heavyweights get to eat mostly whatever they want and train. But on a strength and conditioning point of view, you've been a professional athlete for football. So what is it like compared to being the strength and conditioning you needed to do to play for, what is it, the Pittsburgh Rampage? Where is it?
Pittsburgh Seminoles.
Seminoles, sorry. Oh, similar. Where is it now? Like, what have you changed, and what have you liked about doing strength and conditioning for football compared to MMA, or MMA compared to football? Because you've had pretty good strength and conditioning with both of them.
Yeah. I just grapple a lot all day, for real. I really don't even do no weights or all like that, for real. I run on a bike, some little bike they got, but other than that, I really still don't do nothing besides push-ups.
Really? Wow.
And pull-ups here and there. Other than that, that's really it. I never lift weights before, so I ain't gonna start now.
Wow.
I ain't about to.
Wow, no, that's incredible. It's just an assumption I made. Jay, thanks for correcting me. I've always thought that linemen, particularly in programs, usually have to test on squat, snatch, deadlift, and bench. Did that ever happen in your football career?
No, not me. I never even.
Oh wow, okay. Well, that's a cool background to have. I do think one thing that MMA has shown is everything in MMA and in football to that degree is functional. It's what you can actually do. And I'm sure you've met guys that in the gym are legitimate lifters, but that doesn't always correspond to functional strength. And talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, like I feel what you're saying. Like they could lift a whole lot, but you can't really do nothing if you ain't technical, for real.
Right. Yeah.
Basically, like, you could have all the strength, but if I got you like in a technical way, you can't burst out of this way. Like you can't do that. Like that. Like, yeah.
Well, that's exactly it. And in the heavyweight division, particularly in MMA, a lot of heavyweights, which is so great to hear you saying the word technical, a lot of heavyweights, more or less no fault of their own, use their strength and kind of muscle as opposed to technique. What's it like in your mind, having done this now, it turns out, in football your whole career, what's it like knowing that you've always liked the technique over the size? Because you're eventually going to meet somebody who's your size or bigger. I mean, that's just life, you know?
Yeah. So when I first came in, like, I was always trying to power my way through everything. Like, I'm bigger than him. I'm going to just power my way through just everything. And then I'm like, all right, now let me settle and try to do this jujitsu. Let me settle and try to do the techniques. And now I want to learn the techniques. And now I could do the techniques and still power out. So it's like now I'm getting way better like that. Like
Absolutely. I think one of I know he's not a jujitsu kind of high level guy, but Ngannou at the UFC level really showed that. I forget the guy because it was on his way up. It was a lower ranked UFC guy, but he was up against the cage and he hit a Kimura off
yeah,
the
I seen
cage,
that. Yeah, off the
and he
cage all
flipped
the way.
and it was one of those things where it was a mix of freakish power to be able to do that, but also technique. I mean, that didn't happen by accident. And so I think I was just thinking about that at the heavyweight division, that using technique in surprising locations,
Yeah, that's
really catch guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really smart. You've mentioned grappling and a ton of grappling, which is great. And if anybody's out there ever thought they were in shape and then grappled or did jujitsu, you'll know the difference between the two. Although hats off to Philadelphia's own Paul Feldner, who just went 25 minutes yesterday without any MMA training in the last 4 or 5 months. So way to go, Paul. You're the man. But most of us could not do that. So what's the kickboxing or Muay Thai like? I know Stout does a ton of jiu-jitsu. Where are you getting your kickboxing Muay Thai? If I had to guess, it would be with the Academy because they are a stand-up crew over there.
No, actually, I'm getting it from Stout.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting it from Stout.
Who's the main Muay Thai or a kickboxer at Stout?
It's just a class. We go to a class on Saturday. It's a fight team class on Saturday. So it'd be like mix up coaches. It'd be Wilkes, Williams.
Sure.
Dempsey be down there coaching sometime.
Sure.
Yeah, people like that. Everybody be down there.
Oh, that's great. No, that's you also brought up a class, the term class, and so that's good to know. What's it like? Because MMA fighters are different. Some MMA fighters really like literally themselves and one other guy, and the coaches are constantly like looking at them, and constantly the whole team revolves around them. And then you just mentioned class, so I'm guessing you're talking about people breaking up and kind of like the instructor teaches it, and then you do it, and then you get back
then
together.
You drill it.
Yeah, drill it. Exactly. That would be more of like a class, or even wrestling. I've seen wrestlers do a lot of practices that way. So do you like that? Do you like being in a class environment where it's more about doing the work and drilling the work on your own, as opposed to being maybe only 1 or 2 fighters?
Yeah, I like to do it as a group like that because we drill it, and then we go live for it. So you drilled it that whole time, so you better hopefully try that move while you were going live.
Right.
Yes, I like
absolutely.
The class one. You switch partners.
There's benefits to both, but I think the class does more reps. You're getting more reps when you do class because you got to switch partners. You might do it 5, 10 times
switch
with
partners.
Partner. Yeah. Switch it. Right. Absolutely. So that's really exciting stuff. As we kind of transition to looking at the fight coming up and your opponent, what are you looking to accomplish? Obviously, you're making this change in MMA after a lot of other athletics. So what are you kind of looking to accomplish in yourself by taking your first official MMA fight?
Just get my first win. Real, I wouldn't say quick, but real quick. Get my first win real quick, and just hurry up and try to get on the next card that's available, and just keep it pushing like that. Really, for real.
Yeah, absolutely. The amateur ranks can be really tough. Obviously, you've hit the worst part because of COVID, but the amateur ranks can be tough because there's no contracts such as in pros, where people can kind of be more or less kind of pushed into taking a fight. And all too often, if an amateur fighter goes 2-0 or 3-0 to start, their career can kind of just sit, because then people start avoiding them. So it's a great idea to try to get as many fights as quickly as possible. And who knows with COVID, not COVID, I mean, it's going to be a pain going forward. But
yeah,
obviously you have a game plan. So is this something that you want to take X number of amateur fights before you kind of make a determination or see what happens for you? Or are you just kind of doing it one fight at a time and then go from there?
Yeah, I'm doing it one fight at a time, and it's whatever coach say, for real, whatever Isaac say. I just go off whatever he say.
Well, you
That's it.
definitely
That's
have a
about it.
wonderful attitude. Speaking of your coaches, you've mentioned a bunch of them, but let's get to some of the other coaches you want to give shout outs or training partners you want to thank. You seem like the type of guy that really appreciates being part of a team and teams. And I've had, I interviewed Vera last time, and everybody that knows you talks very highly about kind of who you are as a teammate. So, who are some people you want to thank, coaches or teammates?
Yeah, coaches is Isaac, of course, Dom, Chris, Matt Schaefer. He been helping out a lot too. People at Stout been helping. Williams, Wilkes, whoever, I forget all them names down there. Academy, Calm. I've been working with Calma too. Shaka been down there. Uh, that's about it for real. Everybody else know.
Yeah, that's right. If you weren't on his list, he still is appreciative of you. So there you go. So, family wise, family support, kids, local support, what's it like, and how are people responding outside of the MMA gyms? What type of support do you have from your community?
Oh, I got good support. They just can't wait to see me fight for real. The first time got canceled, so they just can't wait for me to get in there. They just can't wait. I'm just ready to go.
I remember talking about that in March, how you had sold a bunch of tickets and people were ready to see you in action, and we're
Yeah.
kind of used to seeing you in action playing football and used to being in your corner and being supportive of you. And obviously, the way March ended, a lot of people, what are we going to do? Like, what's going to happen because the tickets and all of those things. So I'm thrilled to know that if everything continues the way it's supposed to be going.
Uh huh.
And I encourage everybody, ticket wise, there will be tickets sold. They are limited due to COVID, but 247fighting.com to get tickets. And obviously, Justin, you're going to be fighting after Thanksgiving. Are you planning on going to the one before
Yes.
Thanksgiving? Okay.
Yeah.
And who are you there to support?
Trent
Okay.
DeZarko. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he's
That's
got
another training partner too. I forgot to mention
oh,
too. Trent.
Trent. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
that's a good one. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think he's going down to 85, right?
Yeah. 185. Yeah.
Yeah, because his pro debut was at 205, and
Uh
it,
huh.
and it looks like he made the move 25. And Trent's obviously that's a local guy who had a rough debut pro, but good to see him back on the card. And I know that'll be exciting for everybody. So you're going to be there. Are you going to be in his corner, or are you just there as a fan?
Just there as a fan.
Very nice. And speaking of corners, since you have mentioned a good number of trainers and a good number of gyms, who's going to be in your corner for your debut fight?
I don't even have no clue yet. Either gonna be
Okay.
Isaac Dom and Chris Dempsey. One of them.
Okay. Well, when I announce it during the fight, I'll make sure to look over and see who's in the corner. To be like, oh, but it makes sense that what the reality is. It's so wonderful that you have so many coaches and people influencing you that no matter who's in your corner, you're going to have somebody that's there to give you feedback and support, which is good. Do you want to give us any predictions, fight predictions wise?
Yeah, I'm gonna go for first round for real. But that's about it. I don't know what it's gonna be, what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be first round.
Well, that's still a heck of a prediction. So can't wait to see you finally make your debut. Would love to have you on afterwards to talk about it. I think debut fighters new to it have a lot to offer, particularly after to say, wow, this or that or whatever it is. So I'd love to have you back on afterwards. Thanks so much for coming on the show. For people listening, please get tickets or support. Do you have any sponsors you wanted to thank or just no, okay, no sponsors. Down the road, if you're listening to this and you want to sponsor Justin, I'm sure he'd appreciate that after he gets
Yes, I will.
his first round stoppage win in his debut. Justin, thanks so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. Best wishes to you, your teammates, and everybody fighting for 247 Fighting Championships coming up in a couple weeks here.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.